All right, we won't get into this. So how I do this literally is like, so they're all recording right now.
Okay.
So we're good. We're good to go.
Yeah.
I like B-roll content as well. It kind of just breaks the illusion of like everything's perfect.
Yeah.
Not
yeah,
everything
a
is
little
perfect.
behind the scenes.
Exactly,
A
a little
little
behind the scenes.
imperfection.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to see.
But with that being said, welcome everyone. We are back with another podcast, another interview. If you're watching this, you know exactly who we're sitting with, and if you're not, how do we put this? Mr. NFL Canadian, beautiful person that stepped in today as model. Benjamin St-Juste. Did I say that right? Is it juice or
St-Juste? Yeah.
St-Juste?
Yep.
Like drink, guys.
Like orange juice. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Some
Perfect.
people say just tea, and I'm like, the closest thing is like orange juice.
People pronounce it better in Canada or here?
Great. Well, see, the thing is that back home, most of my French-speaking friends, so they know, but there's not really a translation for the English word of it, so it's kind of a little bit hard. So I just tell people it's Saint, and then just like juice, like orange juice, and they're like, oh, gotcha.
But is that the appropriate? So like when your parents are like, okay, well, this is your last name, this is how you say it.
Saint-Juste.
St-Juste.
Saint-Juste. Yeah.
So there is a little twang to it,
Yeah.
just to make sure that it's said correctly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so don't mess that up. Anyone trying to holler at him, it's not juice. Try a little bit, it'll work out. But thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this with us. We are in Washington today on a very monumental day, I'd say, for the Americas. And no, like I said, it's been a blessing to have you come down and literally like vibe with us today.
Yeah.
Photos are going to come out. You'll see all that. Everything's great. But with the How We Really podcast, how we kind of structure everything here is that we talk about your life, right? Yes, we talk about, mental health. We talk about you as an athlete, as a person. But it's really just getting to know who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole vibe with it. So bring us back all the way back to Montreal, where you're from, right? What was your upbringing like? How did sport play a factor into who you are today? Not just as a professional football player, but just as an overall athlete.
I think you hit it on the nail with the sports. Honestly, that's where I'm gonna start. Born and raised in Montreal, Canada. Sports was everything in my household. I have another younger brother who also plays football in South Dakota State. So yeah, sports were everything. It didn't really matter what sport we played, like football, basketball, hockey. Obviously, like we had to try everything, but we had to play some sort of sports because I think my parents knew that it was going to be some sort of avenue for us to do something great in life, and it's going to open up some doors, like especially with education, all that stuff. So that was the main thing, and they knew that from experience. My dad obviously didn't have the same life as us, way rougher, immigrated from Haiti, came to Montreal, did not speak English, but was still trying to chase that dream of being a student athlete, of reaching the pros. Didn't end up happening because he didn't have the resources, didn't have the support system and everything. So he poured all that knowledge and resource into me and my brother so we can make it, because he saw like how sports affected his life. And my mom also, she just loves sports in general. So she was like, but my boys are gonna like make it either or just make it to the league, which is less than 1%. So I'm so grateful to be in the league at this moment. So yeah, I would say that's what it was for my childhood growing up a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. And obviously, all three of us are Canadian. We grew up in Toronto. You're from Montreal. It's not even for wanting to be an athlete, football was probably not the easiest career path, even amongst trying to become an athlete, because obviously it's not a dominant sport in Canada, let alone Montreal, right? I'm sure hockey, much more prevalent. Even basketball is more prevalent. So what was it like trying to chase that dream as a kid? And did you know it was football right away because of your dad, or was it other sports that you played?
Deep down in my heart, I knew that football was going to be my favorite sport just because I wanted to be just like my dad. And I asked my dad played multiple sports, and I asked him, like, what's your favorite sport? He said football. So I was like, that's my favorite sport. But in terms of a dream, yeah, it was a dream, but it was a far-fetched dream, honestly. Like, I'd be lying to you if I told you, like, as a young kid, I knew the path and I knew what to do, and I know that I was going to make it to the league. I did not. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why I can relate with a lot of the younger kids that reach out to me for advice, or just people in general, is that I didn't find my true motivation and discipline to make it to where I'm at until I was like 17, because the resources and the people that made it to the top leagues, like I could count them on my hands, like where we came from. So there wasn't that many role models to look up to. It wasn't that many people that I can be like, okay, I'm trying to mimic what he did, because everybody went either to the NHL little bit of basketball. But football in general, there was no like platform, there was no foundation back home in terms of school education, training, camps, recruiting. There was none of that. So I was like, yeah. I want to play in the NFL, but will I play in the NFL? Probably not, you know?
Yeah. So how did you even like, what was the first step, like where it became, whether it's high school, like what point did you kind of start to figure it out or realize, you know, there might be actually a path forward here?
I would say I always gotta give a huge shout out to my parents, you know. And if it's not your parents in your life, like just your friends or a support system or family member that just believe in you, that's gonna be able to give you that little push, you know, to take the next step. Because as young kids, we don't have the biggest self-esteem, we don't have the biggest, you know, confidence in ourselves. And I had all the athletic ability. I was tall, I was fast, I was quick, I was good at football, but I didn't know that I had the talent to go compete in the U.S. against the top, you know, recruit kids, the top football players. And that was around the age of 16. And my mom, I remember she walked in my room and I used to watch all these highlights about the NFL and players. She was like, when you going to stop watching these highlights and go do something? Like, how can I help you? I'm like,
shout out to your mom.
Yeah,
actually.
Shout out to
your mom because I come from an immigrant family where it's more so they came here for the hopes and the dreams for me to be like a doctor or a lawyer, things of that nature. So it's refreshing to hear a parent, regardless of whether it's an immigrant family or not, just to be like, stop watching the highlights, be the highlight.
Yeah.
Go do something with that because you have the talent. Right.
Yeah.
So again, shout out to your mom and shout out to your dad.
Yeah.
Did you feel any pressure? And I'm sorry for cutting you off there, but like, did you feel the pressure knowing that your dad was playing football, wanted to make it to the leagues, do all this stuff? Did you feel any pressure from the family to need to be this thing, to maybe fill a void?
Nah, I never really felt that pressure, and I think that's just another props to my parents for not doing that. I think they saw it from maybe other parents in hockey, because hockey was such a big dominant sport where we was from, and kids used to go to NHL at such a young age, like 17, 18, maybe like 1 year of college or prep school, then go to the league. So they kind of saw how parents can put a lot of pressure on kids and they can fold under that. Or maybe they don't even like the sport, but then been pressured by their parents for so long to do the sport that they kind of like, okay, I guess that's what I am, but that's not really what they want. So they just let me, they gave me the full freedom of picking what I wanted to do. If I want to, exactly. They just said, let that boy cook. He gonna do something. But then going back to my mom, she walked in, and she knew I wasn't like the smartest kid at school. She knew that like classes and all that stuff, like I had a really hard time, whatever. So like that sports could be that door for me to like take it to the next level. She's like, what can I do to help you? Like, what can we do? Like, we used to take these small little trips in the summer to cold states like Michigan or like Vermont or Boston or whatever, like just a little trip in the summer. And she's like, how about we go close to one of those colleges, big colleges where they host football camps? And it was University of Michigan, Wolverines. The first year coach Jim Harbaugh came from the NFL to go to the University of Michigan.
And how old were you at this point?
I was 16.
Okay.
I was 16, and then she was like, that's in the area of the little vacation we're doing. Obviously, we weren't the richest, so she was like, I can't afford the full camp, but if you can put half, I'll put the other half. So I was like, you know what? Just roll the dice and let's do it. So I worked my butt off this summer, put up half. She put up the other half to go to that camp. We ended up taking a trip, and I have zero expectation at this point, because remember, I don't know what it takes to get like to go to the leagues in the US.
You didn't have anybody to coach you.
I don't have
You're just doing it on your own.
Tell me, oh, this is how you. So I'm just going there with no expectation, no stress. I'm just like, all right, let me go compare myself to these kids. See if I'm ready.
It's hard. You don't even have anyone you could stack yourself up against, right? To be like, that's who I need to aspire to be, and I could run with that person and be with that person to like get to that point.
Exactly.
You're just watching from afar.
Like there wasn't a class of people in Montreal at the same time where you're comparing your ability to on a day-to-day basis.
I was really, honestly, if I'm looking back at it, like on how many kids are leaving Canada, going to big schools, and then going to the league, like I feel like I was a pioneer, like in that era of like, because there was only a few, maybe me. I went to the big schools, and then it kind of like created a little wave of like, okay, we can make this. You know what I'm saying? Like a little wave of motivation. But yeah, long story short, I ended up going to that camp, and I balled out. And Coach Jim Harbaugh brought me to his office, and he's like, "Hey kid, you impressed us a lot like these past 2 days.
Incredible.
Like, he's like, you've been balling and everything. Like, what was your goal coming here? I was like, I was trying to have fun and like, see like, compare my talents and say, well, you did a great job. We're going to offer you a full scholarship to come here, to come play, not only play, but also study. Like, so now I get a full scholarship, fully paid off to the #1 public school in America at that time.
Yeah.
University of Michigan. And
a football crazy.
So it's kind of like, well, first of all, I didn't even react that way. I wasn't even that happy because I had no idea what it was. So I'm like, what's a full scholarship? I barely spoke English at the time because I come from a French-speaking household. So I'm like, okay, what is he giving me? I was just yes, sir.
What was that first reaction when you looked at your mom or your dad or both of them and you told them?
To kind of like process everything, because like I said, when I went there, I had no expectation and I didn't have that much information, knowledge about what was a full scholarship and how that can change my life and everything. So then as I started talking with other people that were like, yo, this is big. Like, you're going to like an historical school. Like, they're a powerhouse in football. You're going to have the chance to make it to the NFL now and all that stuff. Like, you're paving the way for like Canadians now. It's dope. I was like, oh, snap, I did something big. Like, by not only listening to my mom, but going out there and putting in the work.
Yeah. So, I was going to ask, like, how did that weigh on you mentally and also emotionally, getting that information and then realizing that you're now going to have to pick up and leave what you consider home to go chase this dream that you still don't know how it's going to pan out. You know that you have this goal, but you don't know where that finish line is, right? Or how to get to that finish line. Where were you at mentally with all that?
Honestly, I was at peace with myself and I was super happy. Yeah, a lot of people asked me if I was like kind of scared to leave home. Like, that's my first time going away in another country without my family and all that stuff. But like back home, I was a little bit lost, like in like on like who I was, what I wanted to be. I wasn't that great at school. It was kind of like, what am I? We all go through that same phase as a teenager. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I just want to make my parents proud or whatever. Yeah. So then once I got that opportunity, after that, I was so focused on the goal that I kind of like disregarded all the other like insecurities and all that stuff. I was like, man, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna graduate. I'm gonna pick a great major. I'm gonna play football. Like, this is great. This is my opportunity to go open up so many other doors. So I was so focused on that I didn't even let the distraction come and create some doubt.
Good. Yeah. That's dope. You mentioned that when did you actually start speaking like quote unquote proper English?
Proper English. So the same way, like, I mean, you guys grew up in the Toronto area and everything. It's, okay, so like, do you guys have to take like French classes like here and there? Okay, so it's the same way, other way around. So I spoke French all my life. I had to take these small classes in English, so I know how to like say like, yes, that's my name or whatever. This color, whatever. In terms of holding a conversation like this right now, no chance. No chance. I know football. I know football terms. I use a yes coach, this, man coverage, zone coverage. Okay, I got this guy. But in terms of other stuff, like I had no clue. So then once I got the opportunity to go to the University of Michigan, that's when I was like, oh snap, I gotta pick my English up. I gotta start taking these extra classes and trying to learn, because I'm about to go to college and like write essay and do presentation. I'm like, I gotta get my stuff together.
What I really wanted to know, honestly, with all of that, like having to like really buckle down on English, was like, what was that phrase or like what was that thing that you like to say, like when you were like, oh man, it sounds so good when it comes out my mouth now, like when I say it in that English? Makes sense.
Ooh, one phrase that I can't really think of one, but like I would say like what I was missing is just like the joking aspect of it. Like, just like laughing and saying joke. Like, cause when you say a joke, like a good joke, you gotta have a punchline. You gotta be able to like build up to it. And
it's tough to do that in a different language.
And when I was speaking French, like I was like, oh, it sounds good in my head in French, but if I say it in English, it might be trash. And then the whole group, I'm like, who's this kid? Like, what is he talking about? So I was very quiet. I was listening. I was like, yeah, but I wasn't like that out, was there any like TV shows or movies that you watched in English where like you picked up the way they would speak in it? I would say like movies and TV shows definitely helped. I would say honestly, most movies I all watch them in English with French subtitles, so I can like get process and everything. So all football movies and all that stuff. Like TV shows, like the Breaking Bad, the Game of Thrones. What's it called? Dexter, like all the good TV shows. Like I watch them in English, that way I can kind of like pick up on certain slangs too and all that stuff. Yeah. And speaking about the football, do you think that the fact that you spoke 3 languages, did that help you kind of process? Obviously, like playing your position, playing in
I'm sure for Coach Harborough, did that give you an advantage trying to process the information or memorize the playbook and stuff like that, just because you had that ability, you already memorized 3 languages?
Yeah, 100%. I'd say that having that ability to speak 3 languages and learn pretty fast, like that's definitely like an advantage at my position, especially even now in the NFL, because a lot of people ask me like, what's the biggest difference between, you know, the university, college level to the pros? And it's not really how big the guys are, or fast or strong, whatever. It's how smart they are. You know? 'Cause that's their job. Like that's their livelihood. Like that's what we do to you know, to that pays the bill and put food on the table. So guys are crafting. They're really putting a lot of hours into their craft, and they're smart about it. It's kind of like a chess game when we out there on the field. It's like, we're both fast, we're both strong, but how can I get 1% better than you? How can I get 1 step ahead of you? So now you got to calculate everything. So yes, having that ability to learn information and knowledge fast from the language really helped learning the playbook and all the small little details and tendencies.
This might be a fast track, but take us through, again, finally now being in Michigan, right? Having your career out there, and then I guess run us through your whole university career out there.
Yeah.
Like what that was like for you.
Well, what was it like? Yeah, and also what was it like being probably the only Canadian there? Did you feel feel that kind of difference, like even in the locker room, where they're like
a little bit, you know, but like my transition was pretty smooth, honestly, because like I said, I learned fast. I pick up things pretty quickly, and then I assimilate myself with the guys and, you know, the good people around. So it was cool. Like I was never really like the outcast, like Canadian, all that stuff. Yeah. But I definitely had like a few comments here and there, like on my accent. I had a strong accent in the beginning. And you know, guys ask me stupid questions like, you know, like, do you like,
is it cold over there? Do you guys have summer?
Out here, like, or, you know, they'll be like, do you speak Canadian? I'm like, nah, I don't speak Canadian. I speak English, just like you. But
we communicating right now, right?
Yeah, we communicating right now. It's the same language. But no, it was dope. It was dope, honestly. Going to Michigan my first 2 year, freshman and sophomore year. That's why I met my wife. She could feel there in Michigan, so been together ever since. Yeah. That was yep. I want to surround myself with athletes. Yeah, I met her there from playing in front of 110,000 people every week at the stadium. From traveling the world, we had this program every spring. We used to bring the whole football team and go overseas. So I got to visit Paris. I got to visit Rome with my teammates. I got to graduate. Got my diploma. My mom that was one of the big things, because I had other options to go to different colleges, but she really liked Michigan because of the academics, the alumni network. Because like football is such a short like period of your life that like what you gonna rely on after, like what are you gonna bounce back on after, like, so that alumni network and that diploma can take you
for sure
other places. And I didn't end up finishing my career at University of Michigan. I transferred from my junior and senior year. I went to University of Minnesota. Yeah. So after I got that degree, I was like, okay, now it's time to really ball out. Like I want to get the max playing time. I want to be a starter. I want to lead a team to a lot of wins and all that stuff. Where can I go? Minnesota was the home for me. They welcomed me with open arms. We had, in 2019, we had the best season in program history. Nice. With 11 wins and only 2 losses. Won our bowl game against the Auburn Tigers. So that season set me up. That sacrifice from leaving the University of Michigan and going to the University of Minnesota set me up to get drafted in the NFL the following year.
Yeah, I love that. And what was that night like? If you take us through that draft night, was your family there? Was your wife there?
So it was bittersweet, honestly, because it was 2021, so we still had a lot of COVID regulation, and I was here in the state training for the NFL draft, and I couldn't fly back home because they closed the border down. I really wanted to be back home in Canada with my friends, my coaches, you know, my family, you know, all the people that helped me be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that, so I did it with my extended family, which is still great. You know, side of my wife, they came over to Georgia. My wife was running her last year of college, track and field at University of Georgia, so we stayed there and celebrated there. But yeah, it was dope. I called my agent. I was like, where we're looking at, they're like, yeah, we're looking at top 100 pick, like in the 3rd round and all that stuff. I was like, okay. So I was glued to the TV. I was watching every pick go by. Some of my teammates, some of my friends were getting picked up. And then that 3rd round came around. I saw my phone ring with the Washington area code. So then I picked it up. And at first I was like, Washington. I was like, is it Washington like Seattle? Is it Washington DC? I wasn't sure. So I was like, okay. I was like, yeah. He was like, and it was Coach Ron Rivera. And it's like, hey, Benjamin, like this Coach Rivera from the Washington football team at the time. We're in the Commanders yet. We haven't changed our name yet. The football team is like, we're going to pick you with the next pick. And then I closed my phone, and then I looked at the TV, and then he was calling my name, the announcer, and I was like, wow. It's kind of like there was like a full flashback of everything that happened from that young Benjamin in the room watching the highlights, my mom coming in saying, like, when are you going to do this, to the camp, to not doing well in school.
You had that cinematic highlight reel play right
that little flashback, like kind of like in the movie until like it stopped, like, hey, let me tell you how I got here.
Exactly.
Like, exactly. So no, it was crazy. It's definitely it's a core memory. It's a surreal moment. And after that, my phone froze. Everybody was calling.
Of course.
Their phone froze. I shut it off, and then I just enjoyed it with my family there.
Wild. Congratulations, by the way. That's a story that needs to be like, that needs to become a movie. That's because, like, again, like, you know, saying, and obviously, you know, as well, I'm not the biggest sports fan, but it's like, there's not a lot of Canadian NFL players, right? So to be a part of that historical fact, wild. So a really great feat to accomplish. What was it like when you first put that jersey on and you stepped foot on that field? How did that feel?
It was crazy. And honestly, I still have that same feeling. It's crazy. People ask me that, like, how was it the first time you played an NFL game? And I was like, I still have the same feeling every time, even 4 years later, every time I put on that uniform and get out there on the field. Like, it's such a blessing because it's such a small percentage of people that get, like, I don't know how many of my teammates in college or even back home try to get to where we at right now. And this is like less than 1%. Like, this is the elite that get to play at the NFL level. So from the first time I put a helmet on, I look across the field and I saw some of the guys that I used to play on video games with. And I was like, no, I'm on the field with them. To like now I'm like, yo, I'm just grateful. I just appreciate every single moment because I know, like, you know, an injury or a career cut short or whatever, anything can happen. So every day I wake up and I'm like, you know, this is my job. I play a child's game, a kid's sport that I started when I was 9 years old. And now this is my career. So it's great.
Who made you the most starstruck that first year, the first season?
I got my first start as a rookie at Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers when Aaron Rodgers was still the quarterback.
Nice. And
that was pretty crazy. Look over the field, and I was like, wow, he's about to snap the ball. And I was like, all right, let me lock in, like, on the play. Like,
I'm playing.
What's the coolest stadium you think you played at, like, on the road?
Coolest
like,
stadium?
most intense atmosphere? But you must have been ready for that, obviously, coming from Michigan. That's 110,000.
That's another thing.
It must have prepped you for it.
A lot of people, like, don't know that college teams.
It's one of the biggest 10 stadiums in the world. That Michigan Stadium.
Yeah, they're 100. Most people in the stands. Yes, I think it's University of Michigan, but most colleges have way more fans in their stadium than NFL teams. It's crazier in college. So, like, coming from that, I was a little bit used to it, but I'd say the Kansas City Chiefs area stadium is pretty rocking, especially. Yeah,
I love that. And what is it like now, kind of, with there obviously being a lot more Canadian players now? What does it feel like to be kind of part of that crop of players who are, like, paving the way? And, you know, you said before, like, a lot of younger players will reach out to you. Like, how are you communicating to them, and, like, how are you trying to give the best advice?
Honestly, that was a goal for me. When I first went to college, I was like, all right, now that I kind of, like, kicked down the door, the goal is for the next generation to start coming over and start, you know, showing people that, you know, we have great talent in Canada. We have, like, young kids that can put on a show and have great athletic abilities to make it to the top leagues. So just to name a few, I mean, we have the Brown brothers, Javon Holland, Chuba Hubbard, Luigi Villaneville, Gallimore, Chase Claypool, all those guys. I mean, it's crazy. Now we can have a full team, like a full 7-on-7 team, maybe an Olympic team at some point, because now they got flag football. We have enough Canadians to do that. It wasn't like that a few years back. So that's beautiful to see. And then ask me about how kids reach out to me. another goal of mine was to take all that information and knowledge that I acquired throughout my career and give it back to the youth. So for the last 4 years, I've been hosting a camp with my nonprofit called Back to the Origin. So I go back to my whole high school in Montreal, Quebec, and I host a camp from 8 years old all the way to 19 years old. Boys or girls, anybody is welcome. And then we've been doing it for 4 years, and 500 kids every year that sign up for it. So
yeah. It's funny because I was going to double down and be like, yeah, tell me about. So it's the brand in itself, or maybe in the foundation as well, is called The Original.
Yeah.
The Original.
Yeah.
Right. So run that through. When did that start again? And like, where is it at now? Because you've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Where are you at now with all that?
I think it all started 2021 when I got drafted. I kind of saw other players in the NFL having their own foundation, how they were doing stuff. I was studying, I was taking notes. Okay, this is how they do it. This is good. This is bad. This is how I want to do mine. And did the foundation because I knew I was going to do a camp. I didn't know when it was going to be like, public and open, but I knew I was going to do a camp at some point with my foundation since I got drafted. And then with the clothing brand, I mean, I love fashion. I love streetwear and everything. So I was like, might as well have a little piece of fashion that I created. So let's have a clothing brand with it.
Yeah.
And then I named it The Original to kind of like showcase that mix of culture that I'm from. The original is how you spell it in French.
Yeah.
Slogan is you design yourself. So don't die a copy. Don't try to be like somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You was born original. You design yourself. Don't try to be like somebody else. You know what I'm saying? This is what makes you who you are. So yeah, we started that with one of my partners. He's from Paris. He actually reached out to me to do a graphic design during my draft, and I liked it. And I reached back to him. I was like, hey, what do you know about graphic designs and mock-ups and illustration and all that stuff? He's like, yeah, I can show you everything that I do, whatever. And I loved his work. We've been working ever since together on the clothing side of it. And then another branch of the brand is the camp and all the stuff that we do for the youth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. Because one, I'm gonna bring my kids to you because they look athletic, but they not. So that's one thing. But also quickly on kids, congratulations. You got a baby girl.
I do.
How has that changed you as one, an athlete, but also now a father? Now being a father, not just being a son to someone.
Yeah.
Right, or a child to someone. How has that changed you? How has that shaped you as a person?
It's a beautiful thing, honestly. It's kind of like life, just like the cycle of life, I'm creating my own family. All the lessons, all the values, the norms, all the stories and memories I have with my family, my dad, my mom, my brother. Now I get to share that with my own family and creating on my own path, what I liked or what I didn't like about my childhood. And then I think the biggest thing is that now I'm living for something bigger than just myself, I have somebody that's looking up to me consistently. I have somebody that needs me. And it's not just about me. It was never just about me, but now it's for real. Now you really got to put your family first, and then honestly, sometimes yourself last. Sometimes take some sacrifices. So that's what opened up my eyes to this.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of obviously a lot of this conversation is about mental health.
Yeah.
How is that, your relationship with mental health, how has that changed from when you were younger? And then I'm sure there must have been a journey you had to go through to get yourself ready, mentally prepared to make it, whether in college, whether in the NFL. How is that kind of journey?
100%, honestly. And I love that I went through a lot of tough times, not tragic and not anything tragic, but just tough times in general. Because honestly, that's what creates your coping mechanism, your coping strategies. You have to go through something. It can't just be all flowers and all easy, because otherwise when you hit that wall, then you're not going to have anything to rely on. How can I get through this? So for example, I said that I had a great time in Michigan and everything, but I also, hurt my hamstring 6-7 times in a small period of time. Mm-hmm. That had me sidelined for a year and a half where I didn't play football. And that period of time when I didn't play football, I lost my spot on the roster. Damn. So now I was just a student. Yeah. I wasn't a football player. My career was kind of done, I was thinking of
it was questionable.
Yeah, it was very questionable. I was like, maybe I should just go back home and call it quits. And remember, that was my goal. That was my everything. That was my only door to make it to the next level. So I was like, wow, this is getting taken away from me. Yeah. So I had to go through a lot of dark times at that time. But what kept me going was that I came here for a reason, and the goal was still alive. You know what I'm saying? There was still, as long as there was still some opportunities, some options to obtain and to reach that goal, I was gonna keep pushing and wake up every day and put in the grind or whatever. So as long as there was air in my lungs and I woke up, it was a blessing. So that's how I saw it. I try to see all the small little positive things, be grateful for that, and forget about the fact that I was injured, my scholarship was taken away from me. It kind of delayed the journey a little bit. Yeah. And then when I got my second chance from at University of Minnesota, that's why I said I just got to take it and run with it. Yeah. And even now, there's early on in my career, I had some injuries too. I had some tough times where I wasn't playing as good as I wanted to, whatever. But I still trying to look at all the small little things, and I still trying to be grateful. The same way that I told you that I was super happy the first time I put on that uniform. I'm still happy 4 years later because I don't want to take it for granted.
Well, big thing is like, thank God that you did. Thank God that you keep pushing, because there's a lot of people that would just get stuck in that rut and not want to do anything else, right? Because like you went to school for what? You went to school for what?
So I got my degree at University of Michigan in sociology, and then I got my master's at University of Minnesota in sports management.
Did any of that like kick in where it was like, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, this is what I really need to fall back on? Or did you just, clearly you're here now, right? Yeah. You're in the position that you're in now. But was there any moment where it was like, man, this degree is going to have to kick in. I'm going to have to do something with it.
I knew I still had the opportunity to play football, but like I was smart enough to be like, let me make sure that I have all my educational side, all my classes like organized, and make sure that like I get out of here at least with a degree. If I can't play football anymore in Michigan, let me get out of here with a degree. And I knew that I still had a few years of my scholarship that I can take somewhere else. I was like, I have the opportunity also to get a master's degree. Yeah. So might as well take it while I'm on a full scholarship. But yeah, no, I made sure that I had that side squared away, that like you said, if football doesn't work out, I can lean back on that.
Yeah. Well, look, I think on my end, that was a great conversation. Now, before we typically end any of our conversations, I like to provide some pictures that you would provide some context to. Okay. More of, sometimes it started off as Pictionary. It was more of like, give me a word, but now it's like, give me how you feel. All right. Right. So I'm gonna pull some pictures out. Okay. Tell me your feelings behind these things. So, all right. If you can hold this.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna start with this one first. Oh. What was that for you?
That was dope. National Signing Day 2017. That was like the first step to the journey. It was official. I mean, I've had the conversation with Coach Harbaugh. I had the conversation when I went to the camp, but this is where I signed my letter of intent to make it official that I was going to attend that school 4 years and I was going to play football. And I think I was like the #1 player coming out of the province of Quebec at that time. So I was like, man, okay, I got a little, they showing the kids some love. Confidence. So yeah, definitely a big boost of motivation and first step into the journey. So I was happy.
Just a quick question. What was it like playing for Harbaugh?
What was it like? Yeah. It was good, honestly. It was hard. It was tough at times, because that was the beginning years of him transitioning from the NFL to college. So there was some little transition period, but I learned a lot on being disciplined, being consistent in my work, the attention to detail. Like football at that level is such a sports of precision and detail and all that stuff. That's why a lot of the guys that like succeed at a high level, they're able to take the coaching in and put their emotions to the side and keep the standard. We always say that. We always say the standard is going to be above the emotion, because there's going to be some good days. There's going to be some bad days. You might get yelled at. You might not catch a football, but keep the standard, and then the next play you'll be fine. So
I love that.
So, next one. So I hear you're a car guy.
Yep.
Tell me about what is this for you?
So this is outside of football. This is the hobbies that Juice likes to do outside of football. I'm a big car guy. I got that from my dad. My dad actually had a old Porsche. I think it was like a 1979 Carrera or whatever. Okay. I forgot the specific model, but yeah, big Porsche guy. So I grew up loving cars, and I was like, once I get a little change in my pocket, and I finally signed to a contract, I was gonna give me the car that I want, and this is a car that I'm gonna keep forever. Yeah. I'm not the type of guy to buy 4 or 5 cars. I got my car that I go to the grocery store, I go to work. I go to the track. I
Yeah.
go on trips. I can do everything in there.
Yeah. Because you also had an RS6. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or an RS. You had an Audi.
I ended up trading it. You know, I said there's no need for 2 cars. You know, my wife still has her college car, like which is like the Ford Escape. So when I want to
Fire.
when I want to feel humble, I hop in the Ford Escape, and when I feel good, you know,
Shout out to Ford.
I hop in the Porsche. But yeah, I used to have the Audi. Ended up trading in for the Porsche.
Nice. Do you find any sort of like mental or emotional solitude when driving? Like what drives you towards like these things?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Honestly, it's part of my mental health, like coping strategies. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like doing small little things like that, taking my nice little 15-minute drive in my car that I like. I'm comfortable. I put my music on. I'm going to work. It just creates that happiness, that cycle of happiness. I like, okay, I'm in something that I like, that I purchased, that I designed, that I dreamed of as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's another moment of like being grateful. Every time I see the car, I'm like, it represents all the artwork that I did and how much more I can do, you know, how much more I can do in the future to keep, you know, going back in that same car and driving it. And I love to take drive with my wife, my family, or just by myself and just enjoy that. Like that's part of the things I love outside of football.
Bet I love that actually. All right, talk to me about this.
Yeah, this is the foundation right here. This is what represents me. This is what I stand for. Like if someone want to ask me like, who is St-Juste? Like who's Benjamin? Like what does he stand on? What does he represent? What's his values? The original, because it has all three. That's a clothing brand.
Yeah.
It has how much my community and sport and how much I want to give back to where I came from is there. And it has my love for, you know, fashion, style, how I express myself, how freely I am, how diversified I am. You know, can't put me in a box. You know, I can do a whole bunch of different things. And this is what the original stands for. So someone want to know me, know the original, you'll know me.
Bet. And last but not least.
Oh, that's my babe. That's why every day, if she's healthy, I have air in my lungs, and I woke up and I'm healthy, that's all I can ask for now. No, I think her being born and coming into my life really put a lot of things in perspective. Sometimes you can get lost, you know, especially in this lifestyle. Like you can get lost with, I want to have this guy come. I want to have more money. I want to have more stats. I want to do this. I want to do that, whatever. Or people in your ear talking and saying their opinion or what they want to do or asking you for stuff. But like, now that I have my daughter, I'm like, family, raising her, giving her everything she needs, me being healthy, me being there for her. That's all that matters. It's crazy because I'm really starting to say stuff that like my parents used to say. Like
wild, right?
It's wild. And then I used to be like, man, whatever. And now I'm like, really, it holds some weight, like what my parents were saying and how they used to sacrifice everything for us, and they still happy. Like my dad, like he didn't work the job that my parents didn't work the job they wanted to. They didn't have the life that they imagined there was gonna happen or whatever. But seeing me make it and seeing my brother on the way to making it, they can sleep so well at night. They're at peace because that's the reward in life. You know, seeing us succeed. You know, it's not about them no more.
And I'd love to also know, like, I'm sure that seeing you play football must make them so happy. But what was their reaction when they saw what you're doing with L'Original, what you're doing with the camps? What was your mom's reaction, your dad's reaction to that?
I think also to that point, stepping into fatherhood.
Yeah.
Like, what's that all like for them?
For them?
Yeah. Have you had that conversation with them about that?
About, me having my daughter now?
Daughter, the brand, you stepping into being the man that you were meant to be.
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes my parents call me, they're like, sometimes I got to pinch myself, you know, because there's a lot of distance between us because they're still in Canada. They actually live in London, Ontario now. So they moved, so they're in London, Ontario, so they've been there for a while now. And that distance kind of creates a gap in certain parts of my life. So during COVID, we didn't see each other that much. So they didn't see the whole transition of me going to college to the NFL. Now they're able to come a little bit more to games and all that stuff, but it's still a big gap where they're like, wow, like my son is really a father now. My son is really going on his 4th year in the NFL. Like, so sometimes they have to pinch themselves, but they, like I said, they always go to bed at night knowing that they successfully gave me all the tools to be a great human being, to be a great father, and now they get to be grandparents and they love it, you know?
Yeah.
They love it. It's like the cycle of life going all over again. I think I saw my mom sent me something this morning that she's so happy to see my daughter because it remind her so much of me growing up as a baby. It's kind of like that cycle all over again. She's like, I love her because I see you in her.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm here every step of the way.
Yeah. I'm about to cry. Yeah, great way to end it. Well, with that being said, everyone, Benjamin St-Juste, everyone, brother, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you for doing this with us.
Thank you.
And yeah, watch out for the collection. It's about to drop. All right. And we're done.
Oh, that was dope.
Yeah, man. Oh, I appreciate you so heavy. That was a great conversation.
Of course, man. I appreciate the opportunity. That was dope.